Charlie Munger always had a peculiar way of seeing money. While most financial gurus shout about quick enrichment opportunities, he spent decades observing the opposite, how intelligent people destroy themselves financially with decisions that seem completely rational at the moment. And the most frightening part? These behaviors are so subtle, so socially accepted, that you might be practicing all of them right now without realizing you're digging your own financial ruin. Munger used to say he learned much more from others' failures than from successes. He studied bankruptcies, breakdowns, families that lost generational fortunes. And in all these cases, he rarely found a single catastrophic error. What he saw was a pattern, constant small leaks that over decades transform potential millionaires into eternally indebted people. Let's talk about these 4 behaviors that Munger identified as the silent killers of wealth. The first behavior is something he called perpetual upgrade, although this term was never used by him exactly like that. Munger observed how people have an extraordinary capacity to adjust their standard of living exactly at the speed their income increases, sometimes even faster. You get that 20% raise at work, and within weeks, you're already considering a bigger apartment, a newer car, that trip you can finally afford. The problem isn't desiring better things. The problem is that this cycle never ends. Munger saw this happen with executives who earned fortunes. When they earned $100,000 per year, they needed $110,000 to live. When they reached $200,000, they needed $220,000, and so on. He said these people were on a treadmill that only accelerated, never turned off. What makes this behavior particularly insidious is that it comes disguised as progress. After all, you're evolving, right? You're enjoying the fruit of your labor. But Munger understood that financial freedom doesn't come from earning more, it comes from needing less. And each lifestyle upgrade is one more golden handcuff. He told a story about a friend who went from a modest sedan to a German luxury car. The monthly payment was manageable. He could afford it. But then came the specialized maintenance, the premium insurance, the more expensive fuel, the special wheels, the parking in safe locations. The car didn't cost just the monthly payment, it cost a complete lifestyle around it. And you don't realize it because each isolated expense seems small and justifiable. It's just 200 more here, 300 there. But when you add it up at the end of the year, that car consumed not the value of the monthly payment, but triple that in invisible costs. Munger had a curious personal rule. He only increased his standard of living when he had absolute certainty that he could maintain that level for the next 20 years, regardless of what happened to his income. This meant he lived far below his means throughout his entire life. While other law firm partners bought mansions, he stayed in modest houses. While colleagues changed cars every year, he drove the same vehicle for a decade. Not for being stingy, but because he understood that each fixed financial commitment is a bet on the future. And Munger hated making bets he didn't completely control. The second behavior he saw destroying wealth was what we call invisible opportunity cost. Munger was obsessed with opportunity costs. He didn't just think about what he spent, but about what he stopped earning by making that expense. And he saw people completely ignoring this math. You spend 5,000 reais on a weekend trip. It seems like a manageable amount if you have it in your account. But Munger did the math differently. How much would those 5,000 be worth in 30 years if you invested with compound interest? Let's do this math that fascinated Munger. 5,000 reais invested at a real rate of 10% per year, which is historically achievable in the long term, transforms into approximately 87,000 reais in 30 years. So that weekend trip didn't cost 5,000. It cost 87,000 of your future. Now multiply that by all the similar decisions you make throughout your life. That 400 reais dinner every week doesn't cost 20,000 per year. It costs your early retirement. Munger didn't advocate living like a monk. He himself appreciated good wines, dinners at quality restaurants, interesting trips. But he was brutally conscious of the trade-off. He knew exactly how much each pleasure cost in terms of future freedom, and he made these choices with eyes wide open. The problem he saw in people was the complete absence of this awareness. They spent on autopilot, never calculating the true price of things. He had a concept he called personal discount rate. Although it's a term from behavioral economics, it was how much you devalue the future relative to the present. If you have a very high discount rate, it means you extremely value immediate pleasure and care little about the future. Munger saw this as a fundamental cognitive error. Your future self is as real as your self today. Why would you treat your future as if it were a different person, less important? He observed young professionals who earned well and spent everything, always with the excuse that later I'll organize myself. But Munger knew that later never comes. The financial habits you build at 25 years old are the ones you carry at 65. You don't magically wake up at 40 years old as a financially disciplined person if you spent 2 decades practicing the opposite. The brain doesn't work like that. You are what you practice repeatedly. The third destructive behavior that Munger identified was what we can call blind expert syndrome. He saw this happen constantly. People extremely competent in their professional areas who made absolutely stupid financial decisions outside of them. Brilliant doctors investing in pyramid schemes. Genius engineers getting into debt on credit cards. Respected lawyers entering commercial partnerships without doing basic homework. Munger had an explanation for this. He said that competence in one area generates a confidence that leaks into other areas where you have no competence at all. You spend years mastering your profession, receive recognition, earn well, and your brain concludes that you are smart. And if you are smart in medicine, you must be smart in investments too, right? Wrong, totally wrong. But the ego doesn't let you see this. He told cases of colleagues from the legal world who were absolutely meticulous in their work, checking every comma, every precedent, every detail. But when it came to investing their own money, they made bets based on bar tips, on newspaper headlines, on feelings about the market. The same person who would never give a legal opinion without deeply studying the case put half their wealth in a stock because it seemed promising. E.g., the selective suspension of critical thinking is something Munger saw as epidemic among successful people. What made this particularly dangerous is that these people had money to lose. A doctor earning 30,000–40,000 per month can absorb losses of 100,000–200,000 without breaking immediately. So he continues making mistakes, losing money, but his high income masks the wealth destruction. He doesn't realize he's in a financial hole until it's too late, until a crisis, an illness, a market change exposes the fragility of his situation. Munger defended something simple but rarely practiced. Admit what you don't know. He had decades of experience in investments and still limited his decisions to situations where he felt he had real informational advantage. If you don't understand investments, hire someone who does or learn deeply before putting in money. If you don't understand real estate, don't invest in real estate just because everyone says it's good. The intelligent answer to one's own ignorance is education or delegation, never trial and error with one's own wealth. He saw people treating money as an experiment. I'm going to try investing in this and see what happens. Munger was horrified by this mentality. You don't experiment with years of accumulated work. You don't treat your financial future as a laboratory. Either you know what you're doing, based on serious study and real understanding, or you stay out. There is no responsible middle ground. The fourth and last behavior that Munger saw as a silent killer of wealth was what he called recreational debt. We're not talking about debt to invest in education, to start a business with real potential, to buy a well-valued property. We're talking about debt to finance consumption, to buy things that depreciate, to maintain appearances. Munger had a visceral horror of compound interest working against you. He loved compound interest, working in your favor, of course. but he saw consumer financing as the antichrist of wealth building. You take out financing to buy a motorcycle for 30,000 Rs. The rate is only 3% per month. It seems manageable. It's 900 Rs in interest in the first month. But over 3 years, you didn't pay 30,000. You paid 45, 50,000 for something that's now worth 20,000 in the market. You worked the equivalent of 25,000 Rs just to give that money to the bank in exchange for nothing. He saw this happen on an industrial scale. People financing cell phones, televisions, furniture, clothes, trips, everything in installments, everything with embedded interest, everything decreasing in value while the debt persisted. And the worst, these same people didn't have money invested, so they paid interest of 15, 20, 30% per year on debts while they stopped earning 10, 12% on investments. The spread between what they pay and what they stop earning was absolutely devastating over decades. Munger did a mental calculation that he thought everyone should do. Take all the money you've paid in interest throughout your life. Add up all the installments of all the financing, remove only the principal value, and what remains is the interest paid. Now imagine if that money had been invested from the beginning, growing with compound interest. For most people, this difference literally means the difference between retiring comfortably at 55 years old or working until 70. He had an ironclad personal rule. If you can't pay cash, you can't afford it. Period. It doesn't matter if the store offers 10 times without interest. It doesn't matter if the rate is good. If you don't have the money now, you're above your means, and the answer is not to buy. This rule kept him away from financial problems his entire life, and he saw intelligent, educated, well-intentioned people violating this rule repeatedly, always with justifications that made sense at the moment, but were disastrous in the long term. Munger's fascination with these behaviors wasn't just academic. He understood that the difference between wealth and poverty, in most cases, isn't how much you earn, but how you behave with what you earn. He knew people who earned fortunes and died broke because they practiced these 4 behaviors, and he knew people with modest income who retired as millionaires because they avoided these traps. The great lesson that Munger tried to convey is that wealth building isn't complicated, but it is difficult. It's not complicated because the math is simple. Earn more than you spend, invest the difference, let compound interest work, don't do stupid things. But it's difficult because it goes against all human instincts. Our brain is programmed for immediate pleasure, for social comparison, for overestimation of our abilities, for minimization of future risks. You are fighting against millions of years of evolution every time you make an intelligent financial decision. Munger saw financial behavior as a game where you compete against your worst version. And this competition happens every day, in each consumption decision, in each investment choice, in each moment of temptation. Most people lose this game not for lack of resources, but for lack of awareness. They simply don't realize they're playing until it's too late. What made Munger particularly valuable as a financial thinker is that he didn't preach deprivation. He didn't advocate that you should live like a beggar to die rich. He advocated awareness, intentionality, real understanding of trade-offs. Spend money on what really brings value to your life, but understand the real cost of each decision. If that trip is really worth 87,000 of your future, that's fine. But make that choice consciously, not on autopilot. He said that the average person makes thousands of financial decisions per year without really thinking about any of them. And these accumulated micro-decisions define your financial destiny much more than the occasional big decisions. It's not the house purchase that breaks most people. It's the 5 coffees per day for 20 years. It's not the car financing that destroys wealth. It's the 1,000 small upgrades and indulgences that seem insignificant in isolation but are gigantic when aggregated. The beauty of Munger's philosophy is that it is simultaneously simple and profound. Simple because the required actions are obvious. Live below your means, understand opportunity cost, admit ignorance, avoid recreational debt. Profound because executing these actions consistently for decades, against all social pressures and psychological temptations, requires a level of discipline and self-knowledge that few develop. In the end, Munger understood that personal finance is 80% behavior and 20% technical knowledge. You don't need to understand complex asset pricing models. You don't need to predict market movements. You need to control your impulses, understand your cognitive weaknesses, and build systems that protect you from yourself. This was the core of all his financial wisdom. And that's why his insights remain relevant decades later. Because human nature doesn't change, and the traps that destroyed fortunes in the past continue destroying fortunes today, just with different clothing.